I'll start with some don'ts, end with some do's, for your Twitter accounts, and just some general thoughts. So, I mean, first and foremost, guys, if you don't have a Twitter account set up, I would definitely start to think about that. Kind of even focus it strictly on your recruiting. You've probably got your own social media accounts, maybe an Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. You could use that all for social, and then maybe you could shift your focus, on your Twitter strictly for your recruiting, right? And that way you could kind of separate the two. You don't have to worry about your social accounts, kind of mixing with your recruiting accounts, right? So I'd kind of think about it like that. Some don'ts, would be, just be careful about what you retweet, you comment, you like. I would kind of have the mindset of just being professional with it. I think that's probably the best word to think about when you're on your Twitter account, interacting with things, is just be professional. That's, again, probably if I were you guys thinking about like, hey, how do I know what to, retweet, like, comment on? I would just say, okay, you can comment on things, you can retweet things, but just make sure it's in a professional manner. It's professional things, it's appropriate things, and things like that. So I would just kind of, make sure that you're not, quote unquote, misbehaving on social media to give coaches a reason, not to agree with you or not to, want to recruit you because of that, right? Just kind of keep it professional, and in that way you just avoid any sort of, kind of missteps there. I would also say, guys, probably, try to avoid like an incomplete Twitter account, like anything with like no profile picture, a very, vague or incomplete bio where it doesn't really say anything about yourself. Your content on your Twitter is maybe not recruiting specific, right? I think, getting back to the point of, kind of focusing your social media on recruiting, I would probably keep your content, pretty much in line with, okay, I'm a high school athlete. I play high school basketball. I'm trying to get recruited to go play basketball in college. I would kind of keep your content relatively, in that zone, so to speak. Just a couple quick, tips that I've heard from coaches directly. I would make sure that your Twitter handle, guys, is your first and last name. That way, when coaches search, that they can pop up your profile right away. That's going to make it super much easier for them to find you. I would pin your highlights to your Twitter feed so that it stays right at the top of your Twitter feed, so that no matter what you retweet or like or post after that, it's always going to stay at the top. And then in your bio, guys, be detailed. Your height, your GPA, if it's a strong GPA, where you go to high school, certainly probably your location as far as like the state that you're in. And then, add a link in there too in your bio, like a Huddle link for your highlights or your NCSA profile link if you have an NCSA profile. So make sure that you're at least adding some sort of links in there too, that they can get to your video, as well as pinning that. And then the last thing I'll say on that, guys, is just be active on it. Like, there's a lot of things that take time, but following a coach on Twitter is not one of the things that takes a lot of time. That'll probably take you 3 seconds to do. And likewise, it'll take a coach like 3 seconds to follow you back too, right? So when we talk about like being busy or being too busy for something, following coaches on social media is definitely not one of those things that is going to take up too much of your time. So be active as possible.